Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Now with it, let's say Biden comes in and says, okay, we need to at least go back to where this was when we were in the Iran deal and where we were with our Cuba relations and getting rid of those sanctions. And where do you think this goes now that he's coming in?
The people that he's picked for his cabinet positions on national security, many of them are people who negotiated the Iran deal. He's got Tony Blinken, Jake Sullivan. He just named two other positions, Wendy Sherman, who was a key negotiator, and the person he just nominated to head the CIA, William Burns, was somebody who behind the scenes was setting the stage for the negotiations. So there are quite a number of, and then let's not forget John Kerry, whose position is on the environment, but he was the key negotiator for the US when he was Secretary of State under Obama. So they've got quite the team in there to get this going, and they want to, but we have to recognize that there's all kinds of forces that don't want this to happen, from the US allies, Israel and Saudi Arabia, to powerful donors in the United States, to the Republican as well as the Democratic Party, lobby groups like AIPAC, the war machine that likes to have enemies. So we shouldn't assume that the Biden administration is going to be able to do this quickly. And now with this recent announcement of putting Iran on the state sponsor of terrorism, it takes a while to get that reversed. It just can't be done by executive order on day one. So this is really meant to slow things down, put another obstacle in the path of improving relations with Iran by rejoining the Iran nuclear deal.
Yeah. I mean, you had to figure that he's such a petulant child. Like, you had to figure he was going to basically set things on fire on his way out the door.
Oh, but you know what? I made a mistake. It's not that they put Iran on the state sponsor of terrorism list. It's that they put the Houthis in Yemen. And that is to get at Iran and make it harder to improve relations with Iran.
Yeah.
Medea, I think there's a lot of things that people look at Trump's presidency and, what is the blackest eye? I personally think that the worst moment in his presidency was when he vetoed ending the genocide in Yemen. The fact that it passed the House and the Senate and really could have, God knows how many lives could have been saved, and, really could have been rolling back a lot of the issues that exist in the Middle East still. What are the chances that Biden will ultimately allow that bill to make it to his desk if they want to, submit it again and, really start to unravel this, this endless war problem that we do have?
Well, I guess it's a matter of how optimistic you are that Biden will be willing to stand up to the Saudis regarding Yemen.
Yep.
Yeah. So, the issue is not so much that the U.S. can roll back the genocide. It's the Saudis and to a lesser extent, the Emirates that have been doing the actual bombing in Saudi Arabia, but it's with U.S. support, U.S. weapons, and these are weapons that are sold to Saudi Arabia. So it's really interesting because Biden has said that Saudi Arabia is a pariah state, which is like a totally different view of the Saudi close relationship with the Trump administration, and even with the Obama administration that started these large weapon sales to Saudi Arabia. And it was under Obama that the U.S. began to give support to the Saudis in their war in Yemen. So Biden has said he wants to stop that support. And it is very important, but it's very similar to what we were just talking about with Iran. Is he going to be able to do it given the pushback that he's going to get? Now, I think he'll be able to stop a lot of stop the logistical support. But in terms of stopping the sale of weapons to the Saudis, I think they'll narrow it to say, we're not going to sell Saudis offensive weapons that could be used in Yemen, but they'll continue to sell weapons to the Saudis. And that really speaks to the power of these weapons companies and how entrenched they are in our government, in the Congress. You know, they give a lot of money to the congressional campaigns. So it would be very hard to just say we're not going to sell weapons to the Saudis, which is the right position.
Correct. But it does sound like, all things considered, even though it'll be mildly better, that this is still better. It's better nonetheless.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these are very, very important issues. If we could get back into the Iran nuclear deal and stop the U.S. complicity in the war in Yemen, that would be fantastic and could lead to the U.S. starting to get out of these wars in the Middle East in general. Now, I'm very excited about the pick that was just announced today for CIA director, because we had a big campaign against the person who was considered to be the shoo-in, and that was Mike Morell, who is somebody deeply involved in the torture program. And so we were just delighted when Mike Morell withdrew his name from consideration after a lot of bad press. And the announcement today is the first time there's ever been a seasoned diplomat that's been put in that position. And William Burns, who we might disagree with on plenty of policies, he doesn't have his, he's not tainted with the support of torture or drone killings. He does believe in diplomacy. And he's also said that the further withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan could be helpful in unraveling these wars. So that was a very good announcement today. On the other hand, there are some bad people that have been nominated, and one of them is Avril Haines, who would be his boss, because in charge of all the intelligence agencies, and it's like an octopus, you know, there are 17 different intelligence agencies, is the director of national intelligence, and she's been nominated for that. And she is somebody who is tainted from her time in the CIA with these horrible CIA illegal abuses. And that's why we have a campaign that we're saying, call your senator to say no to Avril Haines.
Yeah, I love that hashtag that I saw, I don't know, it was like maybe a month or so ago, where it was feminism is not militarism. And well, I think that's a big thing here.
And that's what came out of our first campaign when Biden started the transition, was that he was going to pick this woman, Michelle Flournoy, as his Secretary of Defense. And there was all this hoopla that this is going to be great. It's going to break that glass ceiling, first time ever having a woman as Secretary of Defense. And we said, wait a minute, you know, the goal is not to have a woman. The goal is to have somebody who believes in peace and ending the wars. And that is not her. She is a total war hawk. And what we were most afraid about with her is that she was determined to pivot from the wars in the Middle East to China. And to take on China means justifying even more increases in the Pentagon budget with advanced high-tech robotics, artificial intelligence. And that was her thing. So we were really determined to fight back against that, and had a campaign of a whole bunch of feminists, from Gloria Steinem to Alice Walker, Eve Ensler, hundreds of feminists who came on board and said that Michelle Flournoy is not our idea of feminism and would be a terrible pick for the Secretary of Defense. And we were successful in getting her sidelined.
No, that's awesome. I wish we had had luck like that when Trump picked Gina Haspel, as if that was it's like, yay, a woman, isn't that great? I'm like, no, that's not great.
That's right. Head the CIA, somebody who ran black torture sites herself.
should be in prison.
Well, they'll learn that the hard way in 4 years when Nikki Haley may very well be the nominee for the GOP, and they'll come right back with them. Hey, we'll have the first woman president in the United States. You know, that's the mindset.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.